Hey everybody, it's Allie Edwards and welcome to the first of my foundation page and or prep pages for December Daily 2025. Super excited to be back here with you, and I am starting to do a few things within my album, playing around right there with some little kid pictures of some of the kids here and a couple transparencies that I'm going to use probably as my initial overlay page. I was starting to play around with that a little bit and then transitioned into putting together my reason why. And that's what the main part of this video is going to be about. But here you can see I'm using the die that we have this year, which is in the shape of a label. And this is where I'm running it through a die cutting machine to punch out photos in the shape of the label. This is the little kid pictures. I'm kind of thinking that I'll do little kid pictures of all of us and talk a little bit about childlike joy, or just have that be kind of the jumping off mood, I think, for that initial page inside the transparency. Probably going to make some kind of a shaker. I don't know yet. You'll see that again later on. But what I really wanted to start with was the reason why, and that's what you're going to see here mainly in this video. I actually end up making like a shaker inside of a frame that opens up to have my reason why on the inside. So as with many of my videos, I like to share you the majority of the process. And so what that means is that I don't know exactly where I'm going when I'm starting out. You can see that initially I have the frame pack. This is a shop item this year that had 3x4 and 4x6 frames. And what I'm thinking at this point, there's also some frames in the main kit too, is I'm just trying to decide, do I want to do, how do I want to do my reason why? Where do I want to write it? Where do I want the words to be? Do I want to make a shaker? I've got some of the transparency and vellum pieces that are from the specialty journal card set. And I'm just kind of thinking, like, what do I want this to look like? What are the elements that I want to have? Do I want to use vellum? Do I want to use one of the transparencies to create this shaker that can be kind of a cover for my reason why? And then I'm going to have it all go inside of that green envelope up above. And I'm going to show you how I play with some magnets to make that into a closure. So a lot of times I'm just kind of touching a lot of things, right? I'm touching different pieces. I'm looking at the sentiments on there. I'm thinking about what is it that I want to say in my reason why. I just pulled out one of the tiny labels from the label pack, and then I'm going to use the phrases stamp set to stamp December Daily 2025. This stamp set has the December Daily title on it. It also has 2025, 26, 27, I think, in terms of dates there on the stamp itself. So this is, at least I know this is probably going to go on the cover of my little, well, I do know it's going to be on the cover because I know what it ends up looking like. But that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I want a little title. It's going to end up being kind of like a little book with a shaker front on it. Still thinking about which of these transparencies do I want to use. Kind of, again, thinking that through. Which frame do I want to use? Do I want to have the larger border frame there or the thinner border frame? I'm going to end up going with the thinner border frame, as you'll see in a minute here. But I'm also just kind of framing up some of these other ones to see what do they look like inside of the frames. And then I'm also considering having two frames, right? So there would be a frame in the front, maybe a frame on the back. That's something else that I am thinking about. But one of the things that I came across as I was going through all these different pieces is that 2025 transparency. And I'm like, you know what? No better time than right now, 2025, to use that actual transparency. So right now I have it layered on top of the dotted vellum as well. Then I was looking at this other vellum with the label on top and thinking that maybe I would print my reason why on top of there. So that was one of the things that I was thinking about, and or print it potentially on one of the die cuts. But a couple things have happened, as you can see here. One is I took two of the transparent stars from the main kit, two plastic stars there, and I actually ran that through my sewing machine. So I stitched the stars onto the plastic piece. You can see all of the photos of the finished project on my blog post too. So I've got that laid on there right now. That is stitched on, and then I also adhered the title on top. You can also see there on a label, on a larger label, I actually printed that out. It's printed on sticker paper, and I'll link that for you guys below. It's just printed on top of my reason why I got printed on top of sticker paper, and you'll see more about that in a minute. So I just use regular rolling adhesive to adhere the transparency onto the frame. So this is kind of first step in getting my shaker set up here. One of the things that you'll see me do is, because I'm working on this as I'm filming myself, there are things that I do, mistakes that I make, or decisions that I change my mind on as I go along, and I'll talk you through some of those when they pop up there. That big giant roll right there is some foam tape, which works great as an adhesive, especially if you want a little bit of dimension, especially works great for creating a shaker page. My initial thought on creating this open little booklet where the berry paper could be the home for my actual words of my reason why, I'm playing around with using some of the washi tape from the main kit to create this opening. I'm going to end up pivoting and using cardstock instead at a certain point here in the process, but this was just kind of the beginning phase of it. So now I'm taking that foam tape. It's probably a 1/4 inch foam tape. I'll link you to the one that I got. I got it on Amazon, and when it came, I was like, oh my God, giant roll of adhesive. Here we go. So I've used this in past years. So I am basically framing in the inside of the frame, right? Putting the adhesive on the inside of the frame so that I will be able to put some sequins and some little gem sequins that are from the Diary of Belle Rose, a sequin mix. Will be able to go on the inside of there, and then I will back it with another transparency or clear. Yeah, I've got a clear piece of transparency, which is what I'm going to use. You could also use one of the other pattern transparencies on the back. This is where I'm starting to go, okay, this washi tape is not going to work as my hinge. Often this involves me picking things up and putting them down and multiple times. But what I'm going to do, I am going to rip that washi tape out of there, which is kind of something that's kind of nice about washi tape. What I'm going to do instead, though, is I'm just going to cut a piece of white cardstock, and it's going to be about, I think it's about a 1/2 inch wide, and you'll see this, I guess, later on, because right now I'm just trying to see if I can still do it with washi tape, and it's still not going to work in the way that I wanted to. It could work. You could do it this way, but this just I didn't like the look of it, and I wanted it to be a little more sturdy, and I will end up wrapping the whole thing with the washi tape in the end too. All right, so I have the back side of that little tiny label. Again, that's from one of the die cut label packs that we have this year. So I'm going to stamp Peace on Earth, because that's part of what relates to my reason why this year, which is rooted in hope. I'm just going to root myself in hope this holiday season. That's what I decided to do. So that one says Peace on Earth. So that's going to be on the inside. And then I'm going to dump in some of these cute little sequins. Again, these are from Diary of Belle Rose. I know she had her launch already. She's on Etsy. And then I don't know if she's doing a restock or what, but you can check out her Etsy site. I'll link it for you guys below. She's got just lots of fun, cute little mixes for Christmas time. All right, so you can see all I did, I was just kind of testing it to see what would happen. I'm using, again, a blank piece of graphics plastic on the backside. You could just use another 4x6 transparency. That would also be really easy, but I wanted it to be clear. So just getting all those little sequins inside there, seeing if there was anything else I wanted to add. I think I'm adding some that are like a little more red and green, and picking out any of the little ones that I didn't want. Like there were some little gingerbreads in that one that I was like, I didn't really want those, and snowflakes. I just wanted red and green and gold is what I was looking for personally. All right, so there's my piece of plastic that I'm getting ready to lay on top of there. All the little sequins always want to jump on top from the static of that. But the next thing is pulling off the other side of the foam tape there. so that I can then add my transparency on top to actually complete the shaker portion of this. So lots of different things that you could think about. Obviously, I'm going all in on the shaker. It makes me happy. It made me happy to create this little book. But you could also just do, a piece of paper. You could do a transparency. You don't have to turn it into a little book. You could put it inside the envelope, or you could actually adhere it into the album itself. Right? There's lots of options. Like I could have taken this little shaker and I could have used a page attacher and actually attached it into the album itself, but I chose to put it inside of the envelope because I like the interactivity of it. All right, so I'm still working on the hinge here. I do multiple things, like I said, before I get to actually where I want to be in the end. And this is when I'm like, this is not working for me. Sometimes the washi tape works fine. I think for this one, because it's thicker, because it has the shaker, I just wanted something that was going to be more sturdy, which is where I end up with the cardstock, as you'll see in a little bit. Okay, the next idea I had is I wanted to play with these scalloped die cut pieces, and they have different colors on them. And as I was thinking about how I could use them in my reason why here, what I decided to do was turn them over so that they were all white, and then I'm going to run them through the sewing machine so they'll each have a strip of thread on top of them, and then that is what is going to sit on top of the foam tape on the inside. Okay, so now I've cut off all of that washi tape that wasn't working in the way that I wanted it to. Let's see there we go. There's my piece of cardstock. I was talking about it way too early. Okay, so there's the piece of cardstock folded in half. I'm going to use red line tape on there to be able to create. I think I'm going to do that first. Yeah. So see, I just folded it right in half. It looks like it's probably about a 1/2 inch. And then folded, it's probably close to a 1/4 inch. Something about, let's see, we're going to be able to see. Looks like almost 0.75 maybe. Fold it in half. You can make it as big or as small as you wanted it to be. I wanted it to fit on the inside of the frame there, and I'm going to use red line tape to adhere that. Red line tape is essentially clear double-sided tape. I use it for anything that I want to be really permanently adhered. It's very, very sticky, so you got to be ready to commit when you use the red line tape. All right, so you can see that I'm just putting the hinged portion on the inside there of that. It's on top of the foam tape on the inside, and I'm still going to put those die cut scallops along the edge. But now you can see how it all kind of fits together. I'm going to do red line tape on there too, and then adhere the berry paper that's going to go on top of there, and then I'm going to use my sticker. The sticker that I made with the digital version of the label. Guys, welcome. Okay, there we go. We got that. Yay. That's feeling good. Okay, now I've got the little booklet started. Now it's kind of just adding some adhesive stuff. So now is where I'm looking at these scalloped edges. Like I said, I'm going to run them through the sewing machine to add a little bit of something on there. You could also use the colorful sides of this if you like the idea of framing your foam adhesive. This is another place where I could have also put another frame on the inside, right? One of those die cut frames that would have matched the similar width of the outside of the frame, but I just wanted to do something playful. So this is where I'm coming in with those other pieces, and that's where my actual reason why is going to go right there. So adding rolling adhesive then to the back of these that I ran through the sewing machine. I love having the thread in there. It's just something that makes me really happy. I love the texture of the thread, and I also like having the little threads kind of hanging off there. There's something about the hand done part of it that makes me really happy. So I'm going to take these, the ones that need to be a little bit shorter. It's going to get tucked in underneath there and then trimmed off along the outside edge. I just thought that was cute. It was a cute way to do it. You could also do, if you wanted additional borders, you could do a border around the berry frame too. Like that was something that I could have done with whether it was in color or white. I could have repeated the same frame on the other side. I looked at doing that and then I pivoted and only did it on one side. So I did the 2 vertical ones first, and then I'm going to add the horizontal ones and trim them off second. kind of like seeing how I could make them so that they were somewhat even in terms of where the scallops hit the other scallops. All right, so sticking that guy down. So fun. Okay, so while I'm doing that, let's talk a little bit about the reason why I established this year. My reason why this year is what I have a quote about hope. And it's about the concept of being rooted in hope for the season, hope for our family, hope for our world. There's just a lot of chaos right now. And so I would love to bring some of the hopeful, peaceful sentiments into December Daily this year. And I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but it's going to give me a jumping off point. And I like having a sentiment to start with as I move into the holiday season. I've had lots of different reason whys over the years, but rooting myself in hope this year just felt like the right choice for me. All right, so again, that is sticker paper that I just printed the label on top of there with my journaling. There you can see I'm adding on the washi tape. I did it one way first, and then I actually changed my mind and I take it off and I just put it the other way because I wanted the fa la la to be facing inside, I think, or outside. I couldn't remember. Yeah, facing out rather than facing in. Just a little something that I would notice that would that would make me want to change it. So there you go, wrapping it around there. I think that looks really cute as a cover along the spine, a little spine cover. And let's see, what else? What other things do I have to do? Oh yeah, so there's all adhered on there. I'm trying to get off a little bit of dirt because that's how that goes, or probably a pen, something, kind of testing it out of where it would fit inside the pocket. At this point, I wasn't sure what exactly I was going to do with the pocket, and as you'll see in a little bit, I end up cutting it out and making a little peekaboo window inside of this envelope. And I'm actually just going to use the inside of the red line tape as my template. That seemed to make sense to me. And then I'll use my scissors to cut out the inside circle, knowing that I will want to add something on top of the circle. So knowing that it wasn't going to be a perfect circle cut. All right, so I decided I wanted to put something on the back just to finish off my little reason why booklet. I'm looking at the 3x8 pattern, or 3x8 journal card and transparency set. I picked the one that had gold foil stars on it. I'm going to use, I think I use red line tape for this to adhere this onto the back, and then I'll trim it off. So it's just basically finishing off my little reason why booklet for this year. And you can use really any of the patterns or anything that you might have in your stash to add something onto the back. You could put a photo of your family on the back if you wanted to do something like that. That would be a fun place. Like if you have maybe a Christmas card photo or something like that, you could add that on there just as additional context. I know lots of times people like to add in either a Christmas card or just a family photo or photos of their family members in this current chapter of life that's getting documented within the album itself. All right, so there's my red line tape. Then I'm going to adhere that pattern paper or the pattern down on top, the little gold foil stars. Those are so cute. That transparency, the journal card and transparency set turned out so good this year, and I love that we finally got it without the holes in it. So then you could have lots of other options for how you might want to use those papers, which is a good example of how I'm using that right here. All right, so trimming that down, I'm using my ruler and my X-Acto knife. If you are new here, I cut directly into my wood table. Just been doing that for years. It's just part of my MO. All right, so then I had this little bit of the thread hanging out of the top from one of my stitchings, and I was thinking it would be fun to add a little hang tag on here. So from the main kit, I'm taking some of the little banner flags, and I'm going to do six. I'm taking 6 banner flags total because what they're going to do is they're going to get adhered back to back, so they have something on both sides. Just going to run a little bit of rolling adhesive there to adhere them together, and then I'm going to use my We Are Memory Keepers hole punch to punch a tiny little hole, and then I'm going to put these on a jump ring that actually I think I use a clothing pin. Somebody helped me with the name of it the other day and I can't remember now. but to attach the whole thing, and I'm going to tie it with using that thread up above. So just a little something extra. You may have lots of fun things in your stash too that could be added on to a little hang tag thing. It just felt like a nice little finishing touch on what I was building here with this one. So consider what you have in your stash. I'm putting little dots on here because I feel like that's what makes it way easier especially when I'm using the smallest hole on the hole punch there. That can be really hard to see on that We Are Memory Keepers hole punch. So, and then sometimes like this one, I think was too hard. I couldn't even see it at all. So I'm using a paper piercer to punch that hole. So another option for that. Yeah, loop pin. Maybe that's what it is. That's what I ended up using. Yeah. So it's kind of like a safety pin, but it's like a little vintagey looking one. And so then once I got all 3 of my little pieces strung on there, then I'm taking the thread that was already in there and I'm just tying it on the top of the loop pin. You could also add in some ribbon there if you wanted to. Lots of different ways that you could attach that directly onto it. I loved using the extra little bit of thread, and I did a couple knots there. Yeah, so cute. So cute. Okay, so moving on to the container for this. That was the wrapping up the booklet portion. So you can see I just used my scissors to like punch a hole in the middle, and then I'm going around the outside edges to cut the hole out of the inside. You may have a circle cutter or something else that you could use. Another option too, with these envelopes, you could actually take it apart and then adhere it back together. So that would allow you to like take a big circle punch and put that inside of there. If you were to take it apart, again, you would just be removing the adhesive or peeling it back and then putting it back together. If you are watching this too, and these guys are sold out, we do have digital versions of these that can be cut on a silhouette and then folded up together, or actually it has directions on, I believe, on how to create these envelopes too, if you wanted to do that and didn't have the physical option available. So what I was hoping for here was a peekaboo, and I want to talk a little bit about how I ended up creating this wreath too. So one of the things has been on my list of things to do is to learn how to use the print and cut feature on the silhouette. So I figured out how to do that, which is essentially using the printer. So I printed out the wreath first on a laser printer so that I could run it through the Mink machine. And when you print it from the silhouette software, it gives you crop marks and registration marks. So then the silhouette machine actually just reads those marks and then will cut it out based on where those marks are on the page. So I ran the printed wreath through my silhouette and it cut it out according to the die lines that were on the silhouette file. So that was pretty exciting for me to do that for the first time. I didn't record myself because I wasn't sure exactly what was happening as I was going through it and which thing I was going to end up using. But so that was a combination of a laser printer, my Mink machine, and my silhouette. The little ribbon that is on the top is a piece from the advent calendar. So a little spoiler on one of those. It's like a little fabric ribbon. This is going to be the inside of my window there. So I'm just using temporary tape. You could just, any kind of tape would work on the inside. I didn't feel like I needed to stitch it or do anything else. But you may have a wreath in your stash from past December dailies. I've used all the ones that we've had in the past. But I know it was last year or the year before we had some big wreaths that were fun embellishments that could fit around something like this. You could also, punch out a couple different circles. You could create a border maybe that you print out or cut with your silhouette too. The other thing that I'm doing here is I'm using magnets, and I'll link you to these magnets that I ended up getting. I'm using tiny or little mini glue dots, and what I'm doing is I adhere the glue dot on the inside, or the magnet with the glue dot on the inside first. When you do that, then when you have your second magnet, it'll tell you exactly where it needs to be to match the first magnet. And so now I've got it on there. It's magnetized, and now I put the glue dot on top, so now it picks that up and it's right in exactly the right place. So for you can see then, tuck it inside there. It's a cute little window. You could also add things on top of there to create a wreath. Like you could use embellishments to create a wreath, like a bunch of hearts or a bunch of ornaments or a bunch of word phrase stickers. There's lots of different things that you could do to cover that up. But I played around again with that idea of using the silhouette as a print and cut. And then the last thing really for me to do here is to go ahead and adhere my wreath down on top. Again, that went through the printer, then it went through the the Mink machine to add the gold foil, and then I placed it on my silhouette mat to cut out. So it was a fun adventure, fun adventure all around. I like trying stuff that I've wanted to do for a long time and finally having it work too. So it was a fun adventure. And I actually just Googled to look up how to do that, and I just found a video that just walked me through how to get that done. So there you go. It was really fun. All right, so peeling off the red line tape and getting that down, and then I'm going to add this into my album, and my reason why is ready to go for this year. All right, so our boxing period is still opening. We've got a mid-October shipping date this year for December Daily, so many of these items, or some of them, are still available to add to your box if you'd like to check that out. If you're past the middle of October, then we may still have some things available. Otherwise, use your stash, have fun. Let's get this party started.